among the players to have already left this summer, Ruben Loftus-Cheek was just announced yesterday as he has joined AC Milan. Kai Havertz, Mason Mount, Mateo Kovacic, N'Golo Kante and Edouard Mendy are the players that have left so far. It's helped to raise around £200 million, as we were saying. But Chelsea have continued spending. So far this summer, they have signed Christopher Nkunku for £52 million. Also, last night, completed the signing of Villarreal forward Nicholas Jackson. So, Cass, when you consider what's happening at your former club, how are they shaping up, do you think?
Massive changes. Ins and outs, wow, at a football club. And there's still more, what Lukaku coming back, what's going to happen with Lukaku, what's going to happen with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
Yeah.
There's still uncertainty around Hudson-Odoi. So there's a number of issues that are going to be a challenge for the manager. And no one really knows what he's thinking, especially around Lukaku. Is he a fan of his, or does he see him as, no, got to move on? Hasn't really settled at Chelsea, even though he was at Inter the last year. He was clearly injured, and he was also clearly unfit for quite a long time. I saw that in the World Cup, saw him play. He was injured. He was not in the best physical condition to be at the World Cup. And it's big decisions have been made at Chelsea. There is a new identity, and it is going down a younger road, and they are bringing in, I think Jackson and Nkunku are two forwards coming to the club. It only feels like yesterday, Nat, it was Timo Werner and Lukaku at the football club. It feels that's not that long ago. And it's changed so much at Chelsea.
But does the signings of Nkunku and Jackson perhaps suggest that Lukaku's not going to play a part in this now?
Maybe. Look, we never know what a manager's thinking. He might think, do you know what? He's the top international goal scorer for Belgium. I've watched him enough. He'll know enough about Lukaku. Can I get him in the best condition that he could ever be in physically, and then see what we do? Or is it going to be, no, just get him out the door, move on, we've made new signings? He would have had all them discussions before, I'm sure. He already made his mind up about a certain number of players. The thing he has to do now is get to a squad size that's really important, not have 3 teams available to pick from, have 25 players, 25, maybe 28 max, bring some of the younger lads in that you're excited about, use that group and try and stick to it. Chelsea, from one of Graham Potter's biggest problems last year was the incredible change, squad, match after match, different squads, different players playing left back, right back, centre halves. I think there's a job to be done in just getting that squad to a certain size, trusting the players that you need going into next season, have a bit more stability within that group.
Go back to 2021 when they won the Champions League, Cass. Of the starting 11, only 3 now remain from that. That's Thiago Silva, that's Reece James and Ben Chilwell. That is quite extraordinary, the turnaround then in just a short space of time of the outgoings from the club. Of the players then that are left, I know, isn't it? We really just 3 from that starting 11. Of the players that are still there then, who's going to be key for Mauricio Pochettino, do you think?
Well, his 2 fullbacks were vital to him last year. If you think of Ben Chilwell and Reece James, they were vital and didn't play enough for the managers. They was injured. Both got injured, and that caused Chelsea all sorts of issues. I felt that they couldn't get going in that area. Look, Thiago Silva, what is he now? 37, 38? Yeah. Still one of Chelsea's outstanding. They lost Rudiger. That was a big problem. But they brought in centre-halves to... Fafana has had a terrible start at his Chelsea career. He's not got going at all. It's nearly every position has had issues at Chelsea last year. That's why we're not even getting into the midfield and beyond. We've seen Jorginho leave the football club. Kovacic going to Man City. Certainly one of Chelsea's best players. Huge loss to Chelsea Football Club. And then Mason Mount. So it's just been a conveyor belt in and out.
Yeah, I should say that Azpilicueta is still there, but we're expecting he might leave as well this summer. So he was a part of that 2021 team, of course, but I just wanted to mention that. So it's going to be a fascinating sort of summer for Mauricio Pochettino, and he's only got around about, 6 weeks before the season starts up again. No doubt he'll have been doing plenty of work already. Yes. Not with his players as such, but... with the club. Yes. And also a lot's been done there, hasn't it? If you think of where we are today, Chelsea's had a lot of activity. Yeah. Ins and outs going from the football club. So a lot's already been done. I'd like to think Poch now will think, right, the first few weeks of training, because they're going off to America to do their tour, aren't they, in the end of their pre-season. So
they have to now get in a place of just stability, working around the squad of players he needs. Then I'm sure there'll be more. There'll be more ins and outs, but most of it, the bulk of it, has already been done.
Where else then would they need to strengthen? If you're saying there might be some more ins.
Well, I still think obviously a midfielder is a necessity, because they've lost Kovacic, who is huge, who I just talked about, and now are they going to go after a big midfielder and make that the Fernandes? If it's Caicedo at Brighton, if it's going to be that player, that's going to add to what they've already got. You know, what do they do with Gallagher in midfield?
Yes, of course.
You know, he's another player. What will his season be next year? Has he done enough to warrant being in the Chelsea's first 11? Again, Poch might think he can get more out of him. You know, so Poch is going to look at a lot of the players and thinks who will give him a bit more, who he thinks will serve well for the course of a season. Look, a lot of decisions have been made. Amazing. I can't remember a club. It feels a little bit like Nottingham Forest last season, where they had loads of players whose contracts were up, ins and outs, and then suddenly other players come in. And I'm sure Chelsea will do more.
Well, I'm sure Pochettino will certainly want more of his own players that he wants. And you look at someone like Nkunku. I mean, that was a deal that we knew was happening way before.
It was last January, wasn't it?
Yeah, so you expect Pochettino will certainly want a few more of his own players in at Stamford Bridge. Just quickly, Patrick earlier on sent us a message just to explain this. He said, how can Chelsea give an 8-year contract to Jackson when I assume that that way was closed to 5 years? Now, just to confirm that, Patrick, that isn't... You can have a length of a deal as long as it needs to be. The 5 years restriction that you're referring to is the payments. They know, if you're going to structure payments over a period of time, it's a maximum of 5 years that they can be stretched out over. So that's why they can give an 8-year contract, but if there's a payment structure, it has to be up to 5 years that those payments can be stretched out to. I hope that clarifies things.